Goertzel, our CEO, Janet Adams, COO, and Mario Casiraghi, Chief of Tokenomics, talking about this new announcement, the Artificial Superintelligence Vision Paper. So everybody hopefully has seen the link by now. It's very recently been put out so that everybody has a chance to take a look at more details, more depth on this proposed merger and what we're all going to be voting on between now and the 16th. So I want to hand over to Ben to kick us off and tell us a little bit about what this merger means, what the vision paper dives into, and what you see as the future for this Artificial Superintelligence Alliance.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for that introduction, Haley, and I'm glad you went on for a couple of minutes, so I had time to eat lunch. We've been up much of the night, sort of working on details of this very exciting tokenomic merger and alliance. So let me sort of frame why we're proposing all this crazy stuff, and then we can dig into some of the details and most importantly answer questions, right? So in the time since 2017 when we founded SingularityNET, a lot has happened, right? I mean, we founded SingularityNET with the mission of working toward and crystallizing the formation of beneficial, decentralized general intelligence. And the reason to make AGI, artificial general intelligence, decentralized, it's not just because that's cool and a fun challenge and we're anarchists, right? I mean, it's because we want AGI and then the superintelligence that AGI creates. We want it to be beneficial for humans and other sentient beings, including the other ones in our environments and sentient beings we haven't yet created. If we want beneficial AGI and a beneficial singularity, we've got to do a bunch of things, right? We need a cognitive architecture that can be compassionate and reflective and ethical. We need to raise up the AGI doing helpful things like, healthcare, education, science, creative arts. But we also need to avoid pathologies like a small number of parties controlling the AGI as it develops, which can lead to all sorts of pathologies. I mean, they can drive the AGI according to their own narrow ends and motives, but they also will be susceptible to manipulation or intimidation by various parties. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons that most people listening to this have already internalized that the odds of a beneficial AGI and beneficial singularity are going to be significantly higher if we can pull off on a decentralized infrastructure. Now, that's a possible thing. I mean, we have Linux, we have the internet, we have decentralized networks out there in the world now doing important things and running a lot of the compute infrastructure on the planet, mediating our interactions, not owned and controlled by any single party. The internet and Linux in critical ways are simpler than a global AGI system, though, right? So I mean, the technical obstacles we have are significant, and we've been working hard at overcoming them with Singular with OpenCog Hyperon, the new version of the OpenCog AGI toolkit that's being built and architected for rollout on decentralized networks. Then was its associated infrastructure projects like Hypercycle and NuNet, and with SingularityNet's spin-offs that are working out how to use all this amazing decentralized AI infrastructure to do specific things. So we've built a lot, we've solved a lot of hard problems. We've thought through a lot. On the other hand, during the period since 2017, big tech has also been doing a lot, right? And, they're a lot bigger than us. And by some measures, they've been doing more than us. I mean, the whole generative AI revolution has happened since then, right? With Chat GPT, Stable Diffusion, Mid Journey, and Mixtral, like all the rest, right? And what we see now is that government is starting to think about regulating AGI. Government working closely with big tech in various ways, and more people across all walks of life are taking seriously the idea that we may get to human level AGI within years, and that super intelligence AI, much smarter than people, could actually be a real thing in a decade or a couple of decades, rather than only being something from science fiction or hundreds of years in the future. So all this context is what leads to the somewhat radical proposal that is now before you, and that is outlined in the Superintelligence Vision document. The thing is, in a way, we have a better idea what to do than big tech does. I think Hyperon it's a more solid approach to real human-like general intelligence than a pure LLM or deep neural network approach. And we can connect Hyperon with various deep neural networks, but also do logical reasoning, evolutionary creativity. We've figured out how to better leverage compute resources than big tech has, where we can use server farms, but also a whole heterogeneous network of computers. On the other hand, we can see, Chat GPT and Mid Journey, they're having more practical impact on the world than any AI rolled out in the decentralized AI ecosystem. And the amount of money and momentum big tech is doing with AI, it exceeds what we have in the whole decentralized AI world, and really it exceeds the whole token world if you just count it up financially, right? So we need to do something to scale up and amp up our efforts rapidly. So the default plan I've been pursuing, as I've explained to you all in the SingularityNET community before, is we're working on OpenCog Hyperon, which I believe can be a smarter AGI system, or smarter proto-AGI system first than anything big tech is doing. That's about to be released in alpha version. It should be in beta around a year from now. We don't have an exact date. Could be a little sooner. Then all of our spin-offs and deep funded projects will build amazing stuff on Hyperon, on SingularityNET, NewNet Hypercycle. We start to roll these out. They show they're smarter than GPT-5 or GPT-6. Then, a couple of years from now, we have a recipe to become quite huge. And I think that it's a valid path, and there's incremental steps on the way there, including LLM plus knowledge graphs on SingularityNET platform. We're still doing all that stuff even after this presumptive merger goes through. On the other hand, I don't like that 2 years before we can become huge, because big tech is not waiting. They're launching more and more amazing things like month after month, and we just want to be able to go a lot faster. We want to do it in a responsible, reasonably safe, well thought out, inclusive way, which was the topic of discussion at the Beneficial AGI Summit in Panama and online not long ago. So we don't want to move fast and break things too much, because we don't want to break humanity, right? But on the other hand, we don't want big tech to break humanity either by getting to AGI first. And so we want to be able to accelerate. And that's really what this proposal is about. I've known Trent McConaughey, the technical co-founder of Ocean, for a long time, since I guess it would have been 2012 or so, when I started using some of his symbolic regression software in a hedge fund idea that I was working with in Hong Kong. So that was before either of us got into the crypto space. And I visited Ocean's offices in Berlin a couple times, I think starting 2018 or so, where I met Bruce Pan and a bunch of the other early Ocean team. Humayun Sheikh from Fetch, we got to know more recently, but over the last year, we've been connecting Fetch's AI team with SingularityNet's AI team and doing some prototyping work, bringing together Fetch AI agents and SingularityNet AI agents to carry out some practical application functions. We haven't gotten to the point of launching a commercial product with that initiative yet, but in the process of working together with our AI team and the Fetch AI team, we could see there's a lot of commonality. I mean, we're each trying to get emergent AI out of agent network running on blockchain. We could also see some different strengths in their agent system, and their whole way of thinking and approaching things is really very commercialized and customer driven, which certainly has its value. We all want to make products that people will use and engage with and provide traction to en route to the singularity. On the other hand, our team was more like up to their necks in AGI R&D, right? And deep, wild new methods of machine thinking and reasoning and learning. Having these two complementary teams sort of thinking together about how to build decentralized agent-based products seemed interesting. So via these prior interactions with the Ocean and Fetch teams, we were chatting about, like, how can we align together better? How can we build products together? And then finally, the spark lit up. We're like, scale is important. Let's just do it. We could be more powerful if we were not separate projects, but we're separate sort of modules within a shared pursuit. And in a sense, we already were. We had a shared pursuit of building decentralized AI, but tokenomic incentivization is important, right? And by aligning the three groups together, we are aligning incentives among the foundations underlying the three groups, and we're also aligning incentives in the broader communities associated with the three groups, which I think has a lot of value. And there's a lot of complexity to what each of the three parties coming to the table brings, but to simplify it in the most crude way, I mean, one of the things SingularityNet brings is very deep AGI R&D customized for the decentralized ecosystem. Ocean brings a very sophisticated treatment of data on decentralized networks, proven out by the amazing traction of their predictor product, with like 800 million USD of usage flowing through it each month. Fetch brings a whole bunch of know-how on commercial deployment of decentralized AI agent systems. So these are complementary focuses. I mean, there's many other important pieces. There's hypercycle as a layer zero network for mediating interactions between decentralized components. There's NewNet for decentralizing processing. There's Fetch compute. I mean, there's a lot going on. But I think the nature of the synergy is clear. I think before turning it over to Mario or Janet to address the tokenomic aspects, I want to highlight one additional aspect, which is an optional add-on to the primary proposal we're putting before you. So the primary proposal we're putting before you to vote on is a tokenomic merger, where the AGIX, Fetch token, and the Ocean token will be merged into a new ASI, Artificial Superintelligence token, which will then be cross-chain and listed on the various exchanges that now list. I mean, we can't control for sure which centralized exchanges will list these, but it would make sense for it to be listed on a bunch of the exchanges that list any of the three tokens that are merging together. So this tokenomic merger is the main proposal that we're putting forth. Additionally, while working through all this, it became clear we could move faster if we had more resources within SingularityNET to amp up our hardware base, basically. I mean, Fetch has built a substantial server farm facility accessible through their network, which is Fetch Compute, and we've been looking at how to do that within the SingularityNET ecosystem through different spin-offs and so forth, but haven't pulled it together yet. Yet big tech, I mean, they can just spin up, a $1 billion server farm and train huge models on it. Now, we don't need to do that because we have a decentralized compute network that we can pull in. We have hypercycle hyper AI boxes. We have NewNet. We have SingularityNet nodes. But it's clear that having some level of server farm infrastructure at our disposal to seed this decentralized processing network is going to be quite valuable. So as an additional proposal to be voted on separately than the main proposal of the token merger, we're suggesting to accelerate the release of some of the SingularityNet Foundation tokens. So if you recall, the SingularityNet Phase 2 proposal created 1 billion additional AGIX tokens beyond the billion that were created at the original token generation event. And half of these were to be released at an exponentially decreasing schedule to SingularityNet Foundation year by year, terminating in 2112. And the other half released on the same exponentially decreasing schedule to a variety of other wallets, the biggest being the deep funding wallet, and loyalty rewards, reputation, supervisory council, and so forth. So what we're proposing is to take 100 million of the 290,000 or whatever tokens that are still pending to be released to the foundation and just front load them so we can put them into hardware during the coming year. Then the remaining 190,000 or something will be released in the same exponentially decreasing schedule. So it doesn't involve creating any new tokens. It just involves shifting the release schedule. So I mean, tokens will still be minted and released over the next 1 years, which has obvious economic implications. So we don't absolutely need this. The token merger totally makes sense without this. On the other hand, this will let us go faster. I mean, we can get a network of server farms in various different locations connected by SingularityNET protocol. And we can then use these to train a whole bunch of deep neural models and OpenCog Hyperon instances. And this helps us get faster to having AI smarter than GPT-5 or GPT-6. I mean, we can do a lot with Fetch Compute. We can do a lot with NuNet and Hypercycle and Hyper AI Box. We can do even more with our own decent scale dedicated server facility. So that I wanted to highlight that because it's sort of buried in the white paper, although it is clearly articulated there in the right place. There's a blog post on SingularityNet blog, which I posted shortly before this AMA, which links to the white paper and contains a little information on this as well. So I think that pretty much outlines it. I mean, this is all a little disorienting and different than strategy as we've been thinking about it. On the other hand, ChatGPT is pretty disorienting. Midjourney is pretty disorienting. Like we've got to be creative. We got to pivot. We've got to let go of some of our assumptions and think about how can we best scale up decentralized AI to enable big tech and big government not to win the AGI race and create decentralized, democratic, beneficial superintelligence.
Thank you very much.
So,
It's really, really important, really compelling. And thank you for that overview, that deep dive, and what you see here. Just watching this unfold since the announcement has been amazing, and getting to be a part of seeing this paper as it gets released to the community has been amazing. So thank you for that very deep dive. I was just telling the ambassadors yesterday, you know, some of the things I find most compelling about this is the growth in the community. We're almost tripling the people who care about decentralized AGI and ASI through this, which is amazing. And then the ability also to provide potentially this accelerated hardware for our brilliant researchers to compete at a more big tech level, and really scale our technologies, our neural-symbolic LLMs, our AGI OpenCog Hyperon through this opportunity is kind of amazing as well. Again, two separate ideas. There's the incentivization of merging the tokens together so that we become one big decentralized alliance, all looking for accelerating decentralized AGI, ASI. Fetch, Ocean, SingularityNet aren't competitors. We all have synergistic technologies to offer to this, and aligning our incentives to create that together is beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. And then, of course, being able to accelerate our own technologies through the potential acceleration of those tokens. So as Ben said, Mario, I'd love to touch on you. We have lots of questions from the community about the token ratio, how that came up. I know you guys, you and your team went through a number of scenarios, and maybe you could dive into a little bit about how the tokenomics will work, how that ratio was chosen, the 15-day window, and some of these other pieces.
Yeah, thank you, Haley. So I'll go through the logic. First of all, this is a one-of-a-kind, first of its kind type transaction, and therefore quite complex. So we approach this with the general principle of trying to keep it as simple as possible. So the first thing to do was identify a like-for-like evaluation method across the various tokens and networks. And the first point is that luckily all ecosystems are quite mature. So the footprint in terms of markets is relatively similar. They're all 5 years plus, and therefore, however, dilutions, as in circulating supply percentages, are not exactly the same. So they range from 40% to 70%. But given that the markets are so mature, we have identified the fully diluted valuation as the best initial like-for-like valuation method to perform the valuation. So that was the starting point. The fully diluted valuation, therefore, based on max supply. So for AGIX, 2 billion tokens, for Fetch, 1.15 billion tokens, and for Ocean, 1.4 billion tokens. Secondly, we had to identify the price fixing mechanism. Now, for that, two main things: what price and when. The what price, the most straight answer would be pick a time, identify a spot price. However, again, the tokens, we are in highly volatile markets. Tokens may diverge day by day, and a few percentage points on such a big transaction can make a lot of difference. So we therefore took the approach of identifying average across a specific period of time, 15 days in this case. And the idea there was, okay, we have accepted that the market is given a value, currently is given a value to the networks, and we have accepted that to avoid complexity and respecting each other's progression in time and each other's value on the market, will take a short period of time, therefore not including longer term historical price dynamics, but taking a period of time, in this case 15 days, to normalize for any specific momentary volatility events or price spreads that may have arisen from a specific day. And so the method has been of taking the daily average price, as in day high plus day low divided by 2, so to normalize for intraday volatility, over a 15 days period, following the logic that I just outlined. So that obviously the discussion was really quite complex, while the methodology is simple. We're talking about a lot of value and big numbers, and a group of founders coming together to try to create something fair for the project, for the networks, for the token holders, and making sure that something fair would be proposed and something that everybody could agree on. So ultimately, this method was the one was the one selected, and the conversion ratios were back solved based on the following logic. So we started from the total supply, max supply, and the adjusted fully diluted valuation based on the 15 days price averages, combined the value, and then identified the percentage value of each network based on the adjusted fully diluted valuation, based on the 15 days average prices of each network, identified the percentages of each network, and back solved the conversion ratios. So the fact that, so obviously AGIX has a higher absolute value than Ocean. So then the fact that the conversion ratios of AGIX in Oceans are very close at 0.433 is by chance. The actual value distributed to AGIX token holders will be higher and will be reflecting the value of AGIX token and AGIX network to the token holders. The second piece was when to fix the price, and discussion had been ongoing for quite some time, and it was decided. Obviously, everybody was under strict confidentiality clauses, and it was decided to fix the price before announcement, once again to avoid excessive price movements, asynchronous movements, and possibly unfair spreads in value that could have arisen from the announcement and the speculation following the announcement. So everything was agreed. The conversion ratio was agreed before announcement to make sure that it would run while understanding all the ramifications of this merger, and giving also a reference point to markets to stabilize the three prices as we go through the votes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mario. Appreciate that. There's so much that goes into it. Every time you present on tokenomics in any format for us for spinoffs, it's amazing the breadth and depth of how subtle this information can become. And I'm so excited about the ways, we need to look at how to value these companies that are so different even in their similarities, and find ways that it works for everybody in the best way. And I appreciate all the hard work that you put into that. Could you give just a little bit of your perspective on how aligning, merging these tokens to have one ASI token, how that incentivizes the growth of the decentralized AI space in general?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, from a network perspective, we are just by merging, just by performing the action that we're proposing to the community, we're growing bigger. So we're becoming one. So we've analyzed that surprisingly, the overlap of token holders between the various communities is significantly lower than what we expected. So from an on-chain perspective, for example, Fetch and AGIX is between 5 and 6%, and with Ocean between 7 and 10%. So each ecosystem, SingularityNET has over 120,000 token holders between Ethereum and Cardano. AGIX is also Fetch is also over 100,000 token holders, and Ocean close to 100,000 token holders. So the combination of the communities and the relatively small overlap of token holders basically would create a network that is almost triple in size. So that's number one. We're going to become bigger. We're going to become more community. We're going to have more power, more say, not only in the Web3 space, but also beyond. That's number one. Number two, obviously, combination of technologies that have been outlined by all the founders, by Ben and Janet. And really, we're looking at a shared challenge and a shared vision. And each and every single ecosystem going through this challenge and going to actually create superior and impactful technology would have had to address the challenges that the other ecosystems are addressing. And so to build AI systems and agents, you need data that are used for AI systems. And we all want to create AGI and ASI. So coming together, we're really accelerating the roadmap. And as Ben was saying, shortening the time to delivery, time to market of our vision and of our products and of our technology. From a market perspective, we expect, given the increase of token holder base and of economies, we expect the market structure to significantly improve. So, and I'm not, and I wouldn't talk about price, but all tokens are very mature, with Fetch and AGIX, especially in the last year and a half, becoming blue chips with hundreds of millions of dollars volume per day. So very deep, very resilient. and with very solid market structures. And Ocean is also a very mature token, tier 1 token. So combining the three, we expect the markets to become even more mature and better structured. And obviously, we're doing an arithmetic combination of the three networks that would bring us to a $7 billion fully diluted valuation. But we also expect the market to support this, and that our new starting point will really be that top 30, top 25. We will really be a coin that deserves to be there, and that underpins future opportunities as well. So if the value that the market has given to each single network is there, if the synergies are there, if the community becomes bigger, and if the market becomes more resilient than any single market standalone, then we're creating a better ecosystem with stronger legs to accelerate growth.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so exciting every time I hear more about it. So thank you very much. And then, so I want to the community, let everybody know who's watching, who submitted questions previously. We do have all your questions. We are going to try and answer all of them either here or later. I'm trying to roll up a lot of the general questions and concerns rather than call out the specific ones. Anything that we don't address, we will later. But Mario, there is one concern that I would like to toss to you is the accelerated minting of tokens from the foundation wallet for potential for hardware. Are we going to dump it right away on the market and tank the value?
No. So no, that's not what's gonna happen. It would be counterproductive for ourselves, for the community, and also for the potential financial resources that 100 million tokens could bring. That's not the intent, and that's not what's gonna happen. So from a approach perspective, you can see how phase 2 has been structured with the a long release period. So yes, there was an increase of the supply, but also an intent and approach by SingularityNET founders and executives to do that in a sustainable way. And we've always been transparent in the use of proceeds of each sub-allocation. And so here, as Ben was saying, we're looking for acceleration, and time is now. But we will, as again, the future market the current market is really strong. Future market will be stronger, and we've always been very careful in placing tokens in the right hands and the right time and over periods of time, and never, always doing it in a way that doesn't hurt the market.
Thank you very much. I think it's really powerful too that we have this opportunity as a community to potentially make this investment in a resource that is for accelerating AGI that everyone owns, right? It becomes an investment in all of our future, in a technology we all get to benefit from if we develop it first, which of course we are on track for. So just that giving ourselves as a community, giving SingularityNET community, the ASI Alliance, this resource is amazing for the future.
For sure.
Thank you very much, Mario. Ben, I'd love to ask you a question as well. There's some general curiosity within the community about the lack of supervisory council involvement in this merger discussion. And I just want to give you a chance to address and speak to that concern.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I'm very appreciative of what the current supervisory council is doing in terms of creating a blueprint for the ongoing decentralization of Singularity ecosystem and designing, decentralized governance experiments to help us learn how to better do collective decision making in a DAO-like network. I mean, Jan Horling's running the deep funding program, has been doing some quite interesting decentralized governance experiments using simple forms of reputation-based voting and quadratic voting, and introducing different review processes. But I think the supervisory council is designing a different set of governance experiments that we can do to sort of learn better how to do collective decision making in this sort of network. And this all remains super relevant, assuming the merger goes through. I mean, we still have a decentralized network. It's just a bigger one, right? We still have the same problems of how do you really regulate the behavior of this network in some more intelligent way, bringing to bear everyone involved in the network. So I think that's what the current supervisory council was specifically invoked to do, and they're doing that. And as far as I can see, they're doing a high quality and interesting job of it, and that's important. As far as the token merger goes, it really popped out of discussions between myself and the Ocean guys, myself, Janet, and Humayun and his colleagues at Fetch and Fetch CTO and so forth. So I mean, it basically emerged from informal interactions that were going on between the executives of the three projects, and we fairly closely collaborated and just in conversation arrived at something that seemed to make sense. And I mean, just to be honest, there didn't seem a natural moment to bring the supervisory council in between the discussion, and we're going to the token holders directly, which is of course the most form of democratic decision. I do think supervisory council understand our network and community quite well, and it will be valuable to have them think through the merger and discuss with the community in the coming period. But yeah, I would say the role of the supervisory council has been evolving, and we're part of the supervisory council's job now, honestly, is to figure out what the supervisory council should optimally be as we move toward decentralized government. So I guess that wasn't a super crisp and clear answer, but I'm just telling the reality of it, like I always do.
Yeah, the emergence of this opportunity was unforeseen, and then our current supervisory council isn't in that space particularly. They're really looking at decentralized governance and what experts we have on that team, and it's amazing the way that they're building out that team to be even more robust, and
And
very
we will
excited
need
about
that.
everything that they're building.
We will need that even more so in the ASI Alliance, right? Because I mean, this is an even bigger, more heterogeneous, decentralized network. And I mean, one of the interesting aspects of this is we're making our ecosystem more decentralized all of a sudden, right? Because rather than just having one foundation playing a driving role, we have a broader ASI ecosystem that initially has three foundations playing a driving role, along with a whole bunch of other actors. So it's significantly more decentralized dynamic, and of course we may then over time admit further decentralized AI projects into the alliance with token holder vote approval, ASI token holder vote approval, which would then make things even more decentralized. So we're certainly eagerly looking to the decentralization blueprint from the supervisory council, as something to keep experimenting with, exploring, and then deploying at scale, if appropriate, as we go forward.
Thanks very
So yeah,
much, Ben.
there's
And then there's
questions
another.
on. I see questions on NewNet and Hypercycle popping up. So yeah, let me take that briefly. I mean, I think this becomes a very exciting opportunity for NewNet and Hypercycle in that we now have all the processing from Fetch and Ocean networks, which can be farmed out to decentralized processors in the NewNet network, and Hypercycle, which Tufi calls a layer 0++, that can serve as a way of just mediating communication between any two parties on a decentralized network. So I think there's an opportunity to roll out Hypercycle as the base level communication mechanism across the whole ASI network. I was just talking with Humayun from Fetch about that late last night, and I mean he's quite pumped about what we can do with Hypercycle as a super fast decentralized communication mechanism across the whole ASI network. I mean we need Hypercycle to be a little more advanced in 1.0 version before we can do that. I mean there's very cool stuff working there right now, which is being used for some applications, but it's not rolled out in a fully packaged up way, so that we can't use it as the basis for ASI now. But once it's ready, I mean, this is a great opportunity for rolling out Hypercycle and NewNet at scale.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, that's been on the community's mind, looking at how this merger affects the ecosystem, Hypercycle, NewNet. We've released in the vision paper an example framework of the different ways that all these projects can and will interact. And then another question we've been seeing from the community is just how this affects the plans for building on Cardano.
Oh, well, I would say in no immediate direct way. I mean, we're in the middle of porting the SNet marketplace to Cardano, and we've just pivoted to a new approach there, which I think will bypass Hydra, because the Hydra development has not been going in exactly the same direction we needed, although it's going fast in some ways with Hydra Pay. So, I mean, we're pushing ahead on that. We will have SNet platform on Cardano network. The AGIX on ADA token, assuming the merger goes forward, which I believe it will become an ASI on ADA Cardano native asset. So I mean, there's no real change to that. I would say as Hypercycle reaches maturity, then that actually has more subtle implications for integration with Cardano, because I think Hypercycle has some incredible power. It would, on a software level, it would be quite interesting to integrate Hypercycle within the Cardano's virtual machine, so you could have like Plutus on Hypercycle. But that, I mean, then either you're forking Plutus, or we'd have to have a close collaboration with IOG on that. So I'd say once we have a really mature version of Hypercycle, interesting thinking and partnership and negotiation about how does the Cardano version of the marketplace really leverage Hypercycle. But this ASI merger on its own doesn't particularly affect our plans with Singularity on Cardano.
And we are working hard on additional solutions for making that migration easier on Cardano as well, because that community is so important, so critical, such beautiful supporters, and we want to make it as easy as possible across all chains for everybody to participate in ASI as seamless. One more question. I know you have time limits today, Ben, and I do want to go to Janet and ask some questions as well. But Ben, one more thing that's been coming up within the community is what happens on a no vote if this doesn't pass, one or both of these proposals.
I mean, I honestly haven't been spinning too many cycles on that because I have faith in our community. And I saw with the phase 2 vote initially, when we said, well, we're going to mint 1 billion more tokens and release them over 91 years, people were just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course, we're not going to expand the token supply. And then after some thought and conversations, people were like, well, okay, in a way, many of us don't like this, but on the other hand, yes, if we want to achieve our grand mission, I mean, this seems to increase the odds. So I think this is basically the same way. It's a little disorienting at first because it's not exactly what we planned. On the other hand, if you think about odds of getting decentralized beneficial AGI and ASI with this merger versus odds of getting beneficial decentralized AGI and ASI before big tech gets centralized AGI without the merger, the odds of us getting there with the merger are higher than the odds of us getting there without the merger. And I think our community is clever enough ultimately to see that, even if some details of the merger are not optimal from everyone's perspective. I mean, I'm pushing for this totally because I think it increases the odds of building a decentralized thinking machine before big tech builds a centralized thinking machine, right? I mean that's what it's about. Like I'm not getting a kickback from it. It makes my life more complicated in some ways, operating in a more complex ecosystem. The whole point is, I mean, I'm living on an island in the Seattle area in a pleasant rural place with a satellite internet connection, which is why my internet sucks today. But we've got Amazon, we've got Microsoft, like right across the water from me. These companies have so much fucking money and huge buildings, and they hire so many engineers from every top university. I mean, these are the competitors that matter. It's these trillion-dollar companies hiring every goddamn AI PhD they can, right? The competition between us and Fetch or Ocean or BitTensor or whatever, this is like a bunch of little kids playing off in the corner at this point, where the big guys are playing with trillions of dollars. So I mean, we need to get more scale so that we can energize the really vast scale of the whole decentralized internet to outdo what big tech is doing. And I mean, I think this merger enables us to do that in multiple ways, which is why I'm optimistic about how the vote will go. I mean, of course, anything could happen in crypto and in humanity in general. I mean, if the merger didn't happen for some reason, we're still in a pretty good position. I mean, we've got SingularityNET, we've got Hypercycle, we've got NewNet, OpenCog Hyperon's about to enter alpha. I mean, so we've still got a fantastic plan to launch a decentralized AGI on our decentralized network. It's just things are going to go forward a little more slowly, and we don't know exactly what big tech is going to do 6 months, 12 months, 18 months ago, but I know they're not moving slowly, right?
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. And then we have just a small, or we have a segment of community that are talking about renegotiating terms, and as part of if we vote no, is there a renegotiation of terms possible, or what does that future look like, just to address our community and make sure that they're all heard.
I mean, anything is possible in the crypto world, but it doesn't seem like a very likely outcome. No, I mean, because as Mario outlined, I mean, the terms were complicated in detail, but I mean, in what we did, the market price of the different tokens for the organizations were merging and take some reasonable period of time, and then use the average price over that period of time to weight things. I mean, I don't see what other sort of basis is actually going to work for a variety of different communities. I mean, of course, Fetch or Ocean community would rather have something that makes them look more valuable, and some parts of SNet community would rather have something that makes them look more valuable. But like, what's the actual objective basis for it? I mean, I think part of what you're up against here is, I mean, the pricing of crypto assets is quite complex and what goes into it anyway. So there's not that much basis to come up with a more complicated formula. I think Mario did some interesting sort of historical experiment would have happened if we use different averaging periods, like instead of 2 weeks, what if we used a month or 6 months to weight the three different merging tokens against each other. But yeah, Mario, maybe you could briefly summarize that.
Yeah, so we have analyzed also a different period of time. So using the same approach, but going back in time further than 15 days. So we analyzed 15, 30, 90 days, 180 days, 1 year, and 18 months. And what we can see from the AGIX community perspective and valuation is that actually all the scenarios for AGIX are between 32 and 35%, with 33% being the average and median. So going back in time and changing the length of the time period for AGIX holders per se would not have made much of a difference, 1% here or 1% there. And it follows, the market cycles. So the more difference would have made way more difference for Fetch and Ocean, but I guess their communities I haven't looked at it that way so far. But again, for us, I mean, we heard communities' questions, concerns, and we had looked into this. We looked into this deeper, and we saw that from our perspective and from an AGIX perspective, the valuation would have been in line more or less across any period in the past 18 months.
Yeah, so
Thanks,
that's
Mario.
about
Thanks,
varying the look back. It's about varying the look back for the averaging, right? But and that's something where you could sensibly have some wiggle room, although really looking back like 18 months doesn't make that much logical sense just in the base of it, because I mean the market's been through so many palpitations since then. Everyone has developed so many technologies since then. But yeah, in any case, the question about renegotiating, I don't see how that would work in the near term. I mean, going forward into the longer future, who knows? Crypto goes through endless regimes. But I mean, it obviously the current proposal was not arrived at casually and came out of some extensive discussions among people in all three ecosystems. And if you look at the online discussion groups associated with Fetch, Ocean, and SNet, unsurprisingly, in each discussion group, you have a bunch of people saying, well, what our network is so awesome and amazing. Why do we want to dilute it with these other jokers, right? So, I mean, this is like, people love team sports, right? And I appreciate there are people super loyal to our team and who really see the value of everything we're doing in SingularityNet, right? So that it's fantastic to have so many really loyal supporters, especially given we've been through very difficult times as a project over the previous years. But we're really looking at it more like team decentralized versus team centralized, right? And we want to bring team decentralized together to get to decentralized beneficial superintelligence. And I think after the merger is done, everyone will feel how great it is to have a bigger superintelligence team with more people and more resources, more developers, more applications built, more community members. I mean, I think still far short of Google or Microsoft scale, but I think better positioned to pull in the broader network resources we need to compete with big tech.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for that. Always that high level perspective, looking the long term. Obviously, working on AGI with the team for decades now. You see not just what it looks like right now or what the next thing is. We would be pursuing neural networks if that were it, but you've always seen the longer road and how to get there. And I appreciate you sharing that. It's always inspiring. Speaking of inspiring, I'd love to talk with you, Janet. Sorry for waiting so long. And just talk about, can you give your perspective on how this benefits SingularityNet's path, our goal, our vision, and accelerates and leads to beneficial, decentralized AGI and ASI?
Thanks a lot, Haley. And thanks so much, Ben, for being inspiring as always this evening. I know you might have to jump off soon. So if you have to jump off while I'm talking, I totally understand. And I know our community have really appreciated having you here tonight. But first, I'd like to say thanks so much to everyone who's joined in on YouTube tonight. I see we have a few hundred listeners. It's fantastic to have you here. I see some of our old faces from the community. I see some new faces. Thanks all for being here, and thanks for joining in the debate, because as I've always said, you're the wind beneath our wings. You're what we do it for. It's all about you, and this merger is all about securing our place in the annals of history as the organization, the decentralized community that achieved artificial general intelligence before anybody else did. So those of you who know me in the community, I've been an AGI token holder since 2018. All of my family have been token holders since 2020. I'm true blue SingularityNet, and I'm totally committed to our mission, to the great, great work of Dr. Ben Goertzel, and to bringing decentralized, beneficial, artificial general intelligence, and then artificial superintelligence to humanity to dramatically reduce the inequalities we see on our planet. Now, this is a one-time game, right? It's a one-time race. We don't know exactly what's going to happen when AGI is invented. We don't know if there may be multiple AGIs invented by multiple parties that could compete with each other, or if it could be a winner takes all. But there's a pretty strong probability that it could be a winner takes all. And we want to be that winner, right? And let me ask you all on YouTube, can we have a reaction from anyone who wants to be the winner? Who wants to win this race? Who wants to win the race to AGI, to artificial general intelligence, and to ASI? Because that's what we're here for. That's what we're all about. And what we're seeing now, whilst SingularityNet undeniably has the best scientists, the best technologists, the best artificial intelligence research, the best technology stack for AGI, with our neural-symbolic tech stack, with our meta-functional programming language, with our distributed atom space, with our AI DSL, with all of the Primus architecture, all of the technologies which we're developing. We really have the best scientists, but it's like a Formula One race. If you want to win the race, it's no good just having the best driver. You also need the best car. And this is what we're proposing with our accelerated minting of 100 million tokens, is to get us that car so that Ben, Alexei, Matic, Clay, Sergey, all of our amazing scientists have got the big tech that is going to really power them forwards to win this artificial general intelligence race. So I'm completely behind this merger. I've been super inspired by working with Humayun from Fetch, with Bruce, with Trent, with Ed, with Kamal, with Monica, with Cassiana. Suddenly it's like where we had a super talented team and a completely committed community. Now we have 3 super talented teams and we have 3 huge communities. We've gone from having the voting power, the support of, let's say, 100,000 token holders, over 100,000 token holders in SingularityNET. We've now more than doubled the size of our community that is behind us in one single aligned race to win the artificial general intelligence race and to beat big tech. And that's what we're all about. We're in it to win it. And that's what this merger is all about. And I'm so grateful to have an opportunity to work with all of these brilliant scientists, brilliant technologists, brilliant executives, brilliant people with Fetch, with Ocean, with SingularityNET to really bring the promise of a truly transformative moment for humanity, making artificial general intelligence tools and technologies available not just to the affluent, not just to the small minority that big tech target, but to everybody across the planet. It's a once in a lifetime, it's a once in a species, and I couldn't be more excited, more exhilarated to be on the brink of this incredible alliance to bring those technologies to fruition here in blockchain, in crypto, in in decentralized land, in a way that's beneficial for all humanity.
Thank you, Janet. It's always, again, inspiring, exciting, enthusiastic, and really pointing at what counts and what matters in realizing this vision. It's easy to get stuck in the day-to-day, and everybody here has been amazing, Mario, Ben, Janet, in showing the bigger sights that we've got set right now and what we're aiming for, and how this proposed merger, the accelerated token minting, can just bring that closer faster. So bigger, better, faster, AGI, ASI, all things here.
Thanks. And Haley, I just want to, I mean, we have hundreds of messages, hundreds of questions, I would say, coming in from the community. It would be great to do like a rapid answer of some of them. But one just flashed by there saying, does the AGIX holder have to be sacrificed at the benefit of the whole? Absolutely not. This is the rising tide that floats all boats. Together, we're definitely stronger. Together, we're going to bring every single community holder along with us on this path towards ever-increasing expansion of our impact, of our technologies, of our communities, and of our ability to win this race, because it's a race and we're going to win it. I'd just like to also just make my comment on the 15 days. I'm not a crypto tokenomics economics expert like Mario is, but I've certainly never bought a share based on the price 18 months ago. You don't even buy a car based on the price 18 months ago. Here in the UK, there's this thing called We Buy Any Car, and We always sell our cars on it because it's the easiest way to sell a car. The price changes every 48 hours. Prices change, the world moves on. And to me, having worked in banking for 25 years, people really don't buy any kind of asset based on 18 months ago. They buy it based on its valuation today. 15 years.
I think also, I mean, the calculus shared also demonstrates it doesn't really matter. I mean, conditional on we're going to merge these three projects of Fetch, Ocean, and Singularity. Between those three projects, the relative price of AGIX relative to the whole is about the same going back, 15 days, 30 days, 60 days, 180 days, whatever. I mean, really, when you look at it, what happened is on some prior time frames, Ocean would have had a higher percent and Fetch would have had a lower percent, right? But AGIX will be about the same. So, I mean, of course, there's always many deals you could do. And yes, we could try to merge with someone who has a lower token price at any given point if the finances were your main purpose. But I mean, the main purpose here is the synergies among the people and the expertise and the software in the different networks. I mean, we wanted to put together Fetch's expertise on decentralized agents for commercial application development, and Ocean's expertise on and our expertise on decentralized AGI R&D. And yeah, we needed the tokenomic aspect not to be totally dumb and destructive in order to manifest these actual synergies of the teams and software, right? But I mean, we didn't try to do this because we're trying to optimize short-term token price math. We did it because we're trying to optimize synergies of teams of people and synergies of code bases in order to move faster toward super intelligence. I see a very funny comment here about valuation models for decentralized networks. I mean, show me a rational valuation cryptocurrency network. I mean, this is a very interesting domain of finance with constant regime changes, and I mean a strange mix of utility and then speculative activity that exists more than we would like it to. I mean, there's a lot of complex and crazy stuff going on here, and what we're trying to do is leverage all this madness of the crypto world as best we can to actually build working beneficial super intelligence, right? I mean, the price stuff and the crypto token stuff, we want it to work. We need it to work in order to power what we're trying to do. But our driving motivation is what we want to build for the good of humanity and other sentient beings, right? And I mean, that's the mandate under which Mario and our other tokenomic gurus are working toward. So I've got to jump off this to do another meeting, which was pre-scheduled for like 21 minutes ago. So I think, but I tend to talk too much anyway. So I think this will leave Mario and Janet more time to answer questions. But I do appreciate all the questions and the thinking that the community is doing in response to the proposal, though. So yeah, thanks everyone, and we look forward to your support to the Singularity and beyond.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thanks for joining us here today. As Ben mentioned, there's a blog he just published about the vision paper and what it means to him, what he sees in it, what he would like the community to see and know about this shared proposal. And we recommend everybody take a look at that, read through the proposal, and keep sending questions. Mario, I know it's super late for you. There's a couple things I'd like to address with our two remainers for a few minutes, a couple more community-wide questions, and then let you all go. I know it's been a long couple days. First of all, deep funding wallet. I know that there's not perfect clarity on how everything will work going forward, but is there anything we can say about how deep funding will work going forward with this merger?
Well, I could jump in while Mario thinks about that. Deep funding and all of the wallets will remain dedicated to the original purpose, which was outlined in the phase 2 white paper, which is to progress SingularityNET's marketplace, which is to progress our path towards AGI. We will have some RFPs which specifically support deep funding projects in building partnerships like we currently have today. So some of the RFPs will be based on building deep funding partnerships to work with Fetch, to work with Ocean. And I see some questions here about the marketing, about the product roadmap, and I'm just going to dive slightly into that on this deep funding topic. We see a huge amount of potential for integration of our tech stacks. We've got Ocean's data layer, and we've got their predictor product, which is a DeFi product. We also have Fetch's AI agent. So we may have some deep funding RFPs that are going to enable us to rapidly integrate, for example, SNet AI agents, SNet AI working with Fetch AI agents, or the predictor product working with Fetch AI agents, working with SNet AI. So deep funding will continue to serve the community, to serve the purposes of achieving accelerated adoption of AGIX and utilization of AGIX. And there will also be opportunities to have specific deep funding projects dedicated towards building on these incredible partnerships and these fantastic technologies which we have. Mario,
is there anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, no, I mean, well said. And the approach from the today and tomorrow is to not change the approaches immediately. So the 8 wallets and their mandates remain in place.
Fantastic, thanks. And then there's another question as well. We've talked a little bit about how the spinoffs get to leverage and potentially grow with this partnership as well. We all get to integrate this amazing technologies and become a more complex, nuanced tech stack. But then there's a related question of the SNet spinoffs that have spun off but haven't done their phase 2 airdrop yet. How will that work for AGIX token holders?
So airdrops for spun-off spin-offs are going to be distributed as expected to a snapshot of AGIX holders taken before the merger. Those which are still in process of being incubated and not yet spun off, you can read all about it in the white paper, but they will be based on a reputation governance process whereby the airdrops will be distributed to the communities which have contributed the most. And so for the very short-term communities, that'll be for the very short-term spin-offs, that'll be very much focused on the AGIX token holder community. And then over time, as the great huge new ASI community starts to influence and starts to get involved with our spin-offs, that percentage and that proportion will change over time, ultimately merging in one ASI community over time for the airdrops. I hope that makes sense. But one of the things we're very excited by is bringing this whole new community to the spin-offs. Imagine, say, for example, think of the Rejuve longevity app, which has got so many users at the moment. I don't have the latest stats, but now we can bring in all of the new communities from Ocean and from Fetch and from an ever-growing, really big, impactful token in the marketplace. I see huge expansion opportunities for all of the SingularityNET spin-offs, working with our ASI Alliance and growing through time with our fabulous new community. And I'd just like to say a big shout out if there are any Fetch and Ocean community members watching this AMA today. Hi, and lovely to meet you. And really, really stoked to be working with you in the future. You've got so many exciting spin-offs to come and discover. SingularityNET is not just the best AGI, R&D, AI technology house on the planet, but we have got a wide range of extraordinarily talented executives leading decentralized AI projects across a number of strategically selected industry sectors.
Awesome. Yes, not only are we building the future of AGI, we're also building the future of work, the future of creativity, and the future of health. So,
I know, and more, and music,
and more.
entertainment, and DeFi, and metaverse. It's really. I would challenge anyone to find a more exciting project anywhere on the planet today, and if you have, come and show it to me. But especially now that we are with the with the vote and backing of our community, we are expanding at a massively accelerated rate to let us win this race.
Thank you. And then Mario, we had a question earlier. So will AGI lose half of its value after the merge?
No. It is $1 AGI x $1 ASI. It won't lose value. And there's reading in the chat, Andre or someone working conversion ratios for the past. So conversion ratios would have been different, but you cannot consider one conversion ratio only. You need both all three tokens to be considered to understand what the actual relative value of AGIX in the network would have been. So to have the full picture, you also need to work out what the Ocean to ASI ratio would have been and combine the three. Otherwise, you're gonna get only 1/3 of the picture.
It's a different way of thinking when you think in tokenomics. You can't compare to fiat. You have to look at the market as itself. It's a fascinating twist of mind. So thank you for being an expert in that area. We've had just a couple questions. We have so many questions, and we want to bring them to everybody. We're gonna have to hop pretty soon. We've already run over quite a bit. We will bring answers to these to the community, but we do have a couple of interesting questions. Are we looking to partner with companies like NVIDIA?
We are definitely open to partnerships with major GPU producers, yes. Whether it's NVIDIA, whether it's AMD, whether it's some of the new Chinese manufacturers, whether indeed it's one day Simuli with our own hypervector AI optimized chip has yet to be decided.
I see a new question in chat. What will happen to Inside SingularityNET? Because they love that show. I have to agree, as a completely impartial participant. We will continue to give updates, tech updates and project updates. There will be more. They will be faster and they will be bigger. Janet, do you want to comment on that as well?
Well, maybe we'll rebrand it outside SingularityNET and bring in our fantastic new friends and our top quality executives we're working with across the alliance. So we'll keep the insiders going for sure, and we'll expand it.
We have a question about Goken Yazichio would be at this stage possible candidate project to join the alliance. And was there already discussion on that? I don't know if either of you are familiar with that project. I'm certainly not. But perhaps are there other projects that are in discussion or how are you accepting proposals for projects that might want to join this alliance?
So this transaction, again, is first of its kind, one of a kind. It opens doors for opportunities and thinking, and sets the standard for possibly other things to happen. But at the moment, it's already complex to do what we're doing, and we will see how to grow via partnership or otherwise later on.
Thank you very much, Mario. I think that we'll call it good. Janet, Mario, do you have any last thoughts that you would?
Just one more point on that.
Please.
What we can say is we are, I think, probably very popular with other AI projects in crypto at the moment, and we're seeing a lot of interest in joining the alliance. You'll see in the white paper that a community vote, anytime we admit a new member and increase the token supply, it will be subject to community vote. But we can certainly foresee an era of continued expansion and growth. Absolutely.
It's beautiful. It's so exciting. There's no reason for these different decentralized AI technologies to compete when we all can be so additive to each other. So thank you very much. Is there anything else, Janet, you'd like to end on, or Mario?
I'd just like to say, well, thanks, Haley, for beautiful facilitation. Thanks so much to the team. I don't know if anybody on the outside can appreciate, but I would say there's nobody in maybe the top 20 at SingularityNET working less than 16 hours a day, right through this Easter holidays, up to 20. It's been a smashing effort. We're working, we're playing full out for this. We believe in it. We're in it to win it. And thanks to all the team, and thanks ever so much, as always, to our community.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all for joining. Please go read the vision paper top to bottom. Ask your questions on the AMA form. We'll continue to answer them. Read Ben's blog. He's got a very nice framing that really covers a lot of the SingularityNET perspective on this paper, how it came together the way it did, and puts it in perspective of SingularityNET's history. So thank you again all for being here. Thanks to the team that helped collect questions, answer questions, and the entire community for being so passionate about this topic and about the future of AGI and ASI. And we look forward to more discussion over the next week.